All right,
Hey,
we're here.
guess I should probably.
You might want that.
Yeah, I'm gonna
That's
do that.
useful.
I don't know if anybody else will want me to have it, but
We have an introduction thing now. So
we're moving up.
that's pretty cool.
And if you notice, I'm looking this way.
Yep, we have a monitor.
There's a
We're
monitor
both
set up.
looking the opposite direction. It's cool though. It looks like we're looking towards each other.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool. In terms of just I don't know.
this is just
aesthetics.
working out for aesthetics, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. We got more stuff going on.
Well,
Yeah, so
hello everybody.
we've got some
Hello, all of you.
some stuff to just in case you don't know. The right one is what is seen on the thing, and the left one is just like
It's just you.
This is
Yeah.
like a
It's us. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Once you click that button up the top, it switches.
Right.
All right.
Take a drink.
I take a drink.
Get set.
You've been following the,
Midterms.
the election. We'll switch over to that real quick. That's interesting because we had a dead man elected.
So much for the. That's not even right, by the way.
Is that
48, I think the last I saw.
maybe if I go to CNN?
I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, did you see how fast that loaded?
Ooh, look at that. Nice. And we upgraded we got a new laptop too.
49, 48, at 211,
Yeah.
200. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so-
okay, this is the
It's,
up-to-date results right here.
Arizona and Georgia that are waiting. Georgia's in a runoff, and Arizona, they're saying they won't get the count until 2027, I think.
They're gonna wait. They're gonna wait for the presidential election after the next.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. How ridiculous.
I don't know how that works.
I don't know.
I don't know
I don't know how
how-
you can be allowed to do that.
I don't know. I really wonder what changed.
So I used to be a financial advisor. When I was a financial advisor, and I used to do transfers, people's money,
Yeah.
there was an exorbitant amount of time at times that it would take. Different banks, I won't name them. Sometimes, like certain bank institutions, would take a lot longer. So I would do a transfer, send the transfer paperwork to the institution that was holding the money, and then I would wait sometimes weeks. I remember one time it was a month. It's just under a month. I waited for a transfer of funds. So yeah, exactly. So completely fucking ridiculous because you're talking
Yeah.
about people's money, right? So if I'm transferring it from a shitty fund, let's say, and now I'm moving it into some good funds or some good investments, there in that month,
of locking up.
you could have missed out a shit ton of upside growth, right? And no difference.
Or been exposed to further downside growth.
Exactly.
Or downside direction.
All of the above, right?
Yeah.
So it should happen timely. It should happen like 48 hours would be, I think, like 2 business days would be reasonable to say that, yeah, you say transfer, boom, you gotta sign it and send it off and transfer the money. I would say the same should be true of an election. That you shouldn't be able to say, oh, this is going to take us weeks or whatever to get through something when a big state like Florida can seem to get through it in hours.
Yeah.
the
It never
fuck
used.
are we going
It
through?
never used to be that way, right? Like in the past,
Did it? I don't know.
yeah, that's what everyone's saying. Is that in the past, it always used to be like you'd go and you'd vote, and then the results would be in the next day, basically.
You think that?
And there might have been some things here and there that delayed it a couple days, but now it's like a regular thing that
think
we're waiting
technology-
and waiting and waiting.
You think technology would make it faster? That's usually what technology does, makes things faster and more efficient. But apparently, with the elections process, the more advanced that we get, the worse it is.
Yeah,
Now we're counting dead people's ballots, and
and dead people are getting elected.
yeah, dead people are getting
And
elected.
people with actual brain damage are getting elected.
Yeah. And again, no, that's I'm going to say this for you. That's not to say that we're making fun of people with brain damage or anything. I'm not necessarily. I mean, I have, but it's usually assholes.
I love that. I have.
It's usually assholes.
That's not what we're doing right now.
Right, it's usually assholes with brain damage that
In
are
the
gonna make fun.
past,
Like
anything could have happened in the
Right.
past. It's in the past,
But I mean,
but
it's still like, I don't know where we lost the ability to say something is such a way. If somebody
yeah,
has some damage to their brain, I would think it's okay to say that they're
he
brain
can't
damaged.
understand sentences.
Yeah, right.
Like they, what I wonder if this is going to happen. And so what I'm going to say is what he should have done. But
Yeah.
maybe you finish out the election and then you step down so that you get so
Yeah, most
if
likely.
people voted for the Democrat, so the Democrat gets in, the Democrat who's incapable, he steps down, and then they bring somebody else
Yeah,
in.
that's so fucking sad
It's a bait and switch for the
yeah,
voters.
that's what's happening.
Uh,
I have a feeling it's going to be the wife.
oh God, yeah, because
Yeah.
she's supposed to be like a crazy
Yeah, I have a
leftist.
feeling she'll kind of take it over type thing. But
I kind of heard that
it's
she was like running things behind the scenes almost, maybe.
if we go on the basis that the election was all sound, everything was sound. I'm not going to say it wasn't. I don't have evidence to say so.
Yeah,
If everything was sound, then
I'm just gonna explore what we can
then
do
that
now.
would be pretty sad
Get you
that
set up.
people decided to vote. People so badly wanted the Democrats to be in or us to not be in that they would vote for a guy that clearly is not up to the task.
Yeah.
And it's not to be disparaging to the guy. I do feel sorry for him for what he's gone, really, everything he's going through. So,
So did you see what Trump was saying about DeSantis?
oh, that
Well, he
vote in
he kind of
2018.
went off on
He's
DeSantis.
he's trying to attack him now. Like
He
Trump is afraid of DeSantis. Trump knows that there's a really good shot
Yeah,
that
where
DeSantis gets the nod for
where would I
2024.
find what Trump said?
You know what DeSantis is like? DeSantis is like
He's a
uh, he's a
presentable.
presentable Trump, but not
He
even Trump. I wouldn't say he's a
Yeah.
presentable Trump, but he's got some of Trump in him, where he's like push back type thing, and he's not the type to get bullied, but he's just sensible and seemingly just governs on common sense, which is nice.
I want to see his full comment. Like this article, it like quotes a part of it. Uh,
And it's really hard to tear him up.
DeSantis?
Yeah,
Yeah, because he's done a phenomenal job.
well, that too. But I'm saying just in general, like how do you tear the guys? Like they go after these candidates personally, right? But the guy he's a vet. He's like there's not. I don't think there's really anything in his past that's shady. You know what I mean? He's just sort of a normal guy.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll try and find something if they haven't already, or they have been trying. They just can't find anything.
I don't understand why it's so hard to find the thing that I'm asking for.
Yeah.
Like, you give me all these articles that are commenting on it. I just want to read what he said. And, like, I can't, it doesn't come up.
What about under news?
How about I try on DuckDuckGo? Well, those are all
Oh
news.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maybe DuckDuckGo will give me what I'm asking for. Um,
I've never actually used this.
Trump's comment
There on Putin. Yeah.
on DeSantis. Um, yeah, these are all. Maybe Yahoo News would just post
So he's calling him too. He called him sanctimonious
Yeah,
DeSantis. Ron
DeSanctimonious.
DeSanctimonious. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was really bad. Some of his nicknames are funny. But that one's brutal.
yeah.
I think he might be getting senile.
Where did he post those comments?
I don't know.
This is ridiculous that it doesn't come up. It's cool that we can actually browse the internet now.
It's weird though
But
that he's just all out attacking him. It's like it's the move of an insecure person, right?
well, yeah, he knows.
He's pre-attacking him, and now it's like
Yeah.
it's just when you see that happening.
He called it. I don't know what he called, not loyal or something that
Yeah,
Ron DeSantis
so
did, but I
weird.
don't know that that's necessarily something I agree with. All right, I don't know where it is.
Fail.
I don't understand why it's so hard for like the fucking super AI search engine to give me what I'm asking
I know.
for. Instead, it's
I told you for an hour and a
like,
half I was looking up shit earlier and I just
but
couldn't
that's
find
different.
it.
That's just because the answer doesn't exist because
Maybe.
we have an incompetent government.
Yeah.
But yeah, So what happens now? The Republicans look like they might get the majority in the Senate and the
No,
House.
they're not going to get in the Senate.
Well, they
No,
only
they're
need
going to lose the
to.
runoff. They're going to lose
Oh,
Georgia.
maybe.
It looks like Warnock's going to win Georgia, so it'll be.
So
It's
they'll get the House probably.
yeah. Okay, so wait, there's three left. Is it? It's Nevada, Arizona, and
Georgia, Nevada.
Georgia.
That's what's
Right, right.
on here. So
Yeah. Okay. So, but actually, they might then because it'll hinge on Arizona because I think they've got Nevada pretty much. So I think Republicans are going to get Nevada, which gives them 50, and Democrats are going to get Georgia, which gives them 49, and then it's right down to Arizona. And
okay.
Arizona, unfortunately, is a bit of a weird shit show.
Yeah.
Like that's where all the shit's happening. That's where they're talking about they're going to have a hard time counting, and they're talking about maybe they'll finish counting by next week or
Saying
some
3.5
bullshit.
hours ago tonight, Maricopa County will release first batch of results from mail ballots dropped off on election day.
This whole mail ballots being dropped off thing is sketch as fuck to me.
Yeah. Well, do you see that lady on The View that basically admitted to voter fraud?
Yeah.
She basically said that she voted for her son, or she was having trouble voting
she voted for
her
him. Yeah.
yeah. Or she was having trouble doing it. And it's like, I mean, I don't care. Like in that situation,
Yeah.
it doesn't bother me. It's not like a big deal that she may have done something that she shouldn't have. But it's
Yeah.
like the fact that they're so quick to defend it and to make up excuses for it, and that you know for a fact that if it was a Republican that said that, these people would be literally advocating that they get sent to jail and like the entire election be recalled because one Republican committed fraud, admittedly.
And what I don't get is I don't get the mail-in ballots altogether. Are you fucking kidding me? Why are we allowing mail-in ballots?
Yeah.
What we should do then, if they want to do this, somebody applies for, let's say they say we can't get down to a polling station, whatever. You send someone door to door with a machine, and they fucking pick that way.
Yeah.
And then that gets uploaded right away.
They could probably do it with blockchain technology. They could probably do it in a way where you could.
So many ways. We have so many fucking ways we could do it.
So you can fraud it.
How the hell are we allowing mail-in ballots in 2022? What are we in 19 fucking hundred? This is stupid. This is.
I don't think they did mail-in ballots in 1900.
Probably not. People had to go to the polls,
even if it was difficult to get there.
Yeah.
Like
it's bizarre to me. I don't know. Like I would be embarrassed. I'd be embarrassed as a country, but they don't seem to give a shit because as long as they're in power, they don't care either way. They don't care how it looks. They don't care about the optics of any of it.
Yeah.
It's just about remaining in power.
You see that.
I don't know how anybody can argue it, though. I really don't know how anybody can argue the common sense of it. You're talking about a fucking election. It should be as sound can be. So you'd think you'd cross all the T's and dot all the I's and make sure that everything was fucking legit. But they seem fine with just bags and bags of fucking mailed-in ballots being put in. What? So somebody couldn't just add in 1,000 fucking ballots in each bag? Like it just. So the chain of custody on these fucking mail bags it's sound as fuck apparently, eh? Nobody has any political agenda whatsoever that might be able to handle these bags at some point, or talk to somebody and say, hey, look, listen, I'll give you for every ballot you throw in, I'll give you fucking $10 or something. You imagine like,
there was a woman on I think it was Tim Pool's show. Was talking about how she went to put in her ballot, and the person said, "Oh, just like put it right here or something." She's like, "Are you sure? Like, is there not like a like a spot for these specifically or anything?" She's like, "Oh, hold on, let me check." And then she came out with the place that it was supposed to go. So it's like there seems to be so much either incompetence or just outright malevolence in the process at the individual level of individual actors.
Well, I just don't understand. I don't know. It's hard for me to fathom the idea that we can just take something that should be so important to make sure that it's legit and just fuck around with it.
Yeah.
But they do. And but it seems like the fuckery is helping like one entity. And I'm not going to say that it's the Democratic Party I just think, honestly, it's the deep state. I don't think it's the Democrat or the fucking Republican Party. I think it's the deep state altogether. I think if you get the right
Well, the
candidate
Democrats and the
on either
Republicans
side,
are fronts
well, that's what I'm
for
saying.
the
If you
deep
get the
state.
right candidate on
Yeah,
either side, they'll go, okay, no, we'll play
yeah,
ball. It's almost like they go, oh, well, it's your turn now. You got 8 years. We're gonna take 8 years. But now, since Trump, they go, no, fuck that. No,
yeah,
if Trump is your guy, or you got some radical or what they would call radical people in your camp, no, we're not even gonna give you a shot anymore. Now we're
yeah.
just gonna steal elections.
Basically,
Like we're just gonna suppress information. We're gonna do all kinds of weird shit to make sure that the
yeah.
election constantly goes the way that we want the election to go.
Well,
And
here's
again,
okay. I
not
was
necessarily Democrats' way.
all right. Let's talk about this. So I've been thinking about this whole process. And I think I told you this idea in the past. We'll rehash it again. I'll explain it out. I was wondering if it would be a better system if the idea comes from the fact that I think that a lot of people voting in the election just shouldn't be voting. Like they don't know what's going on.
Mm.
They go and they just circle a name that they're familiar with, or they circle the Democrat or the Republican, and they don't have any idea of like any kind of macro situation,
Mhm.
or they vote based on single issues that just kind of poisons the well of like, okay, if we're actually trying to improve society,
Mhm.
like you only vote, voting for this reason makes you malleable, and it's just a bad situation. I don't think that the way that we're doing democracy is a good thing anymore. Like I don't think it's maybe it wasn't to begin with, but I just don't think it's working out as well as it could. And so I was thinking, what if we did some sort of system where, for all the elections, but just to say it's the presidential election, the Republican campaign and the Democrat campaign, they release effectively like a quiz. And you go and you take this quiz, and they grade these quizzes, and maybe they're designed to take you 15, 20 minutes to do or whatever, but they're a quiz on their policy positions, what they're advocating for, what they want to do, what their campaign is, right?
Mhm.
And so the idea is that you take these quizzes and say you need to get at least 80% or higher on both of the quizzes. If you do that, then your vote is worth like 100 times more than what somebody who fails the quiz, one of the quizzes or both of the quizzes, or doesn't care enough to do it. And
Wouldn't that then kind of add in the ability for a party to say have people that could do this, you know what I mean, that like almost like train people to be able
mhm,
to answer all those kinds of questions and then have them vote the right way they want.
I think that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like
I think
as it's no different than what you have now. The only difference is you're forcing people to be exposed to the other person's ideas. So I think at the very least, what that would do is help to de-radicalize people. Because right now you have people who genuinely don't have a clue what like. They're just making up what they think the other party
yeah.
wants. They're like this fictional Bond villain. And so now
Mhm.
if you force them, they're like, oh no, okay, if I don't do this, like my vote's worthless because somebody else who does it gets 100 times the weight that I do. So I'm going to do this, and now they have to be exposed to what the other party thinks. Otherwise, they're going to fail
I get
the
the
thing.
spirit of what you're saying.
You know?
I don't think it would. I disagree with it being a viable thing because it kind of sounds like it's almost in that vein of it takes away sort of freedom. I think it should be sort of a fundamental right to vote, whether you're one trick pony, whether you're one what do you
Well,
call
I'm
it?
not
One
saying that
topic.
you can't vote, but
I
I'm
know,
saying
but
why don't we take people who actually are informed more seriously than
yeah,
people who aren't?
I know. I understand the sentiment behind
Yeah,
that, and it would be the same sort of thing I've said.
that's basically
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
The
no,
sentiment is to
no, I
try
get it.
and
I get it.
weigh the vote
It
to the informed voters
yeah.
more than the
And there's a part of me
uninformed.
that agrees with you, but there's a part of me that goes, listen, in a free society, we really can't. I don't think we can do that. It's like I said to you, remember when we were talking about like in traffic and stuff, of limiting people when they can drive on highways and stuff. If you're not commuting, you don't
Hmm.
drive between 3 and 7 on major highways,
Hmm.
and that would avoid all this commuter, all this, like I'm just going to the fucking store and I'm going to take the 403 at 4:30 during rush hour. Like fuck out of here, and you're just sauntering on the 4. There's people that are trying to get home from work or some trying to get to work and shit like that. So remember, we've had that
Yeah.
conversation. And while I'd like to see that, there's a big part of me that goes, but then you're imposing all these wills on free
Right.
society.
But that's a big one.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So like,
I
well,
know, but I think
if
it's
you did the election this way,
yeah,
as long as you maybe made it so that it wasn't like a 2 hour long thing that you have to do, you'd be like, okay, it has to take the average person 15 minutes tops to do this thing.
yeah,
It's such a minute uh impact on your life to go and do that to gain the influence of it. If you care enough to have that, if you care enough, you're like, okay, I want my vote to count. I'm gonna take the 15 minutes to do this, and because it's now important, I'm going to make sure that I understand what the parties are
yeah.
saying so that I can do this. It's less of an infringement than something that, but it is it's like, yeah, no, you have to do something to
I'm
have
more
a
a
bigger weight.
libertarian to just like let people
But
do what they will do. I think the best way personally of like controlling something like that would be to number one, limit the amount of money that can be brought in from any sources at all. So let's say if you're running a campaign, you have to fundraise, like legitimate fundraise, not get donor money and shit. And there's a certain amount that you can only be allowed to take. Number one, no suppression of information whatsoever. So there's no fucking around at all, like what we saw with the Hunter
yeah,
Biden laptops or laptop and that kind of stuff.
yeah, that was
So there's none of that kind of thing that goes on. Um, and maybe just I don't know, like it's as far as like information in general, maybe just make it that it's um you you have like a couple sources that will only report directly without any commentary, without anything. They just say, here are the facts. This is this, and they don't say shit.
yeah.
And then people can go to those sources and say, all right, I just want to know the information. I don't want to go to like CNN and get their spin. I don't want to go to Fox News and get their fucking spin. I want
Watch out
just,
waving your
oh
hand
yeah,
in front of that.
I don't want, just straight, I just want straight information. That camera is like in
Yeah,
sight too. So it's like,
that's it.
hi, yeah, you can see it. We're moving stuff around
Yeah,
here, everybody. Just
rotate it so that
bear
I'm centered.
bear with us.
Oh,
Are you centered there? Yeah. Oh, there.
do you
I'm
know
looking at
not know
that
what
one. I'm looking
centered
at the
is?
small one.
Oh yeah,
And
no,
it looks.
the bigger one's easier
Yeah, yeah.
to eyeball.
Anyways, yeah. So
So,
I agree with your. I agree with the spirit of what you're saying. I just think it kind of goes against like personal liberties.
I don't think it does at all.
Yeah. Well,
I don't agree with that at all because you're not taking away anybody's right.
but what if I'm fucking busy as shit and I can't follow stuff, but I still want to vote? I still want to have a voice.
Then you vote, and
And
your
it
vote
counts worth.
counts.
It doesn't count then because it doesn't count.
Counts as one
Is it?
vote.
Well, what if yours counts for 100? So you're
Yeah.
100 times more important as a civilian than I am.
Yep.
No, that's bullshit.
Because I know what's going on
So
and
what
you
if?
don't.
So what if what if you're a kid that lives in your basement or your mom's basement? You're 19 and you're just really fucking informed. And I'm a dude out there making $100 million a year, employing 1,000, 2,000 people, and I don't have the time to stay abreast of all of it. Now your vote as a kid sitting in your mom's basement just happened to have all the fucking time in the world. Your vote's worth 100 times more than my vote. That's fucking horseshit. That would be a I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to live in that society.
Okay, so you don't want to live in a society where the vote is counted based on people who know what they're talking about.
No, because those people wouldn't necessarily know what they're talking about.
That's the point, though. The point is that
How would you
that's why
gauge
you
that?
test
How would you
it.
gauge that? How would you? So a 19-year-old kid that's living in his parents' basement that just happens to watch a shit ton of news and all political stuff, and he knows or she knows all the different candidates what they're sort of voting for, but still is a fucking tool bag who doesn't care really. Like maybe they're an abolitionist and they really don't give a fuck about shit, so they're just going to screw around and vote for the shitty one because they want to be a fuck. But because they have the knowledge, now their vote's worth 100 times what mine is worth. No, I don't agree with that at all. I think you'd have so much gaming in the system. It'd be ridiculous. At least with the one vote
No, you
for
have
everybody.
gaming in the system now.
Well, you do
have
now, but at
significantly
least
less gaming in the
but at
system.
least now you wouldn't have 100 times the gaming. You could have 100 times the gaming with like 100 less people would count for that many more votes. Like you could sway elections all over the fucking place, whichever way you wanted. Worse than you could now, because now you really have to.
Absolutely not.
Why?
Because now people are you just mindlessly get people to go to the polls.
You
You get
you would
people
need
riled up.
100
You're
people.
voting against a fascist, and so people get
These
up and
those
go
same
and do it.
people riled up, but now they be informed.
Yeah, so they're forced to be exposed to the other side. They'll know that when they right now you get fucking I don't know, Lucy Liu thinks that the Republicans are fascists trying to kill your babies. There's a freaking guy on MSNBC that was saying that the Republicans are gonna like kill your children,
Well, they are.
right? Yeah, obviously that's
I
that's
already know.
like the top of
I've
their
talked to them.
it's at the top of their campaign list. But there's that. So you get somebody who has no idea what's going on. They see that and then they're like, well, that's horrible. That's awful. I need to do my part to go against that. Now if you force them to be exposed to the fact that like, hold on, these aren't all that unreasonable positions that they're advocating for. They're more likely to go into that situation and vote based on an informed opinion with a more rational perspective, rather than just not having a clue what's going on, thinking that they only have one choice because the other choice is literally the Nazis.
Yeah, but how does any of that factor in the fact that they have 100 times the voting power? Like,
Mhm.
how does that offset that? So what would change? What would change then?
The vote was skewed to the informed.
Yeah, no, but just not the informed of what though? The informed of what they're being informed. So they would
No,
just of what the
it's not. No, it's what the campaigns are advocating for.
that's dumb. I mean, I can understand if you said, okay, if um they have to be informed, they have to be intelligently informed of, say, the economy and how the economy actually works and how all these different systems actually work outside of the candidates. Because who gives a fuck what the candidates say? They can say whatever the hell they want. Like Fetterman wasn't even saying words. Anyone, so they can say whatever the fuck they want, and it doesn't really mean anything. So if you vote for Fetterman, now you're a dude who's informed on what Fetterman stands for, and your vote's now worth 100 votes against, say, me, maybe, who doesn't. Maybe I'm not paying attention at all to politics, but I'm an intelligent, rational person who understands how life works and how like systems work in that. And if I and given the choice, with a very little bit of information, I could make a better decision than somebody who's irrational and has zero idea how anything really works. They're just basing it on, feelings and whatever a candidate happens to say, like a Fetterman or something. So yeah, I don't think it would help at all. I mean, I get the spirit of what you're saying, but I think if it's based on the candidate, what they say, no, I think that would you just get more gaming of the system with less resources. They wouldn't have to use as many people, or like ballot harvesters and these kinds of things that they actually use. They wouldn't have to do as much because they would have to do 100 times less. Like if you agree and say that currently they're doing it, then they would just have to do it 100 times less.
Right, because it's only going to be one side that gets people to do it.
No,
Everyone
I know both. I think both sides will do it.
exactly.
They'll game the fuck out of it.
The vote will skew to the informed now because now I don't know if you multiply how many people vote in an election 70 no 150 million in the last election, something like that.
It was more. It was like almost 160.
So if you shave 50
81
million
and
off the top and then times it by 100, then that 100 million, you're saying that that 100 is just going to skew heavily to the one side.
No. I don't think it's going to
No,
skew heavily to one side. No, I
everybody
think what's
from
going to
both
happen.
sides, or a lot of people from both sides, are going to come
No, I
out.
don't think it's necessarily going to skew to one side, but I think it's just what's going to end up happening is you're going to have a lot of people that are intelligent that just don't really concern themselves heavily with politics. Their votes won't mean anything. So you're going to have a much dumber vote, essentially, because you're going to have a lot of people that maybe they work at fucking Tim Hortons part-time and they have tons of time to avail themselves to information from candidates and shit, and then their vote's going to be worth 100. So my vote being worth 1, I don't know how you could say that's a democracy though, because now it's like nobody's
It's not a
equal.
democracy. I'm saying democracy doesn't work.
I think it works
Because right now is what you have is a
but
retarded vote.
It's also not a democracy.
Right
Anyway, it's a
now,
republic. It's a different
yeah, and
thing.
it's too democratic.
Yeah.
It obviously doesn't work. Like you get
Well, I don't
the
think
insane that you get. How many people who are voting for nothing?
Well, I think it works. I just don't think it works as well as it could work. Like, I think it could work better. I mean, the
Well,
country
yeah,
works.
if you
I
did the
mean,
impossible and fixed all the corruption in the media and the politics and like made it so that everybody who was getting information was getting like
yeah.
truthful information, yeah,
And
it
that's
might.
and that's what I think the
But
real
but
fight would
that's
be.
exactly what this would do.
Yeah.
Is it would be like, okay, the votes that
Yeah.
matter are the ones of the people who have the truthful information. Because
Yeah.
you have to pass both,
I get what you're
right?
saying.
You have to
Yeah.
know what both are doing. It's not just you take the one for the one side, like registered Democrat, so you take the Democrat quiz and then your vote's worth 100. Is you take both, and then what would happen is people who currently have no idea about anything, and they're just going because
Why not just make the other
they're being
people's vote
scared.
not count at all? And so it's
Well,
one to zero.
that's the plan,
So 1 to
essentially.
0 then.
Essentially, I think most people.
Because
I think
100
there's
to
a
1.
huge amount of people who just their vote shouldn't count because
Yeah.
their vote isn't based on anything.
Yeah, if you told me that somebody who's informed their vote is worth 100 to my uninformed is worth 1, I would just tell you, why not just make it 1 and 0? Because my 1 is worth less than
Well, because
0.
you could still have the singles swaying the election. You could have like it could be an even. It could like if it's even, it's even,
No, I think that's well. I mean, we're going to
and it
disagree
would
on
be
that.
tight. But
I think the best way, personally, I think the best way would be, like I said, to lift the one sided controls on information. When I say one side, I mean whichever side is deciding they're going to control. You let free information reign. You let people make people that are informed that will avail themselves to multiple sources of information. They make the best decisions for themselves, and then they vote that way, as opposed to being like cattle and herded somewhere and then voting the way whoever's controlling that wants them to vote. It's I just think back in the day it was probably more but less controlled in the way, because the information wasn't as easy to just get to people. Like, you had the sources of, like,
mhm.
you had a couple different news outlets and newspapers and things like that. So, like, if people weren't availing themselves to information, then they were probably in a bubble where they didn't hear anything. So if they did vote, they'd be like, "Oh, I don't really know anything." But now it's like you don't even have to avail yourself to the information. If you're on like social media or something like that, it's coming to you whether you want it or not. You're going
Mhm.
to see
But
skibbits of bullshit.
that's the amplifier of the problem then,
Yeah,
right? So it's coming at you, but then it's coming at you based on the algorithm pushes who you like
yeah.
and the opinions that you agree with. And so now you're watching MSNBC and you're seeing a guy say that the Republicans are gonna like arrest your children, and you believe him,
Mhm,
and so you go out and you vote. That person, anybody who sees that and is like, well, I have to vote Democrat right now because that's what we're fighting against,
mhm.
their vote is worth less than zero in terms of whether or not it's being productive to society. It's hurting the entire system that that person has a say that's equal to somebody who's like, well, okay, I understand what this party's saying and I understand what this party's saying, and I agree with this party. Whether I personally agree with their conclusions or not is completely irrelevant. I just think that there's merit to a person's opinion when they actually understand what both sides are saying
Yeah.
and then they have a conclusion. There's merit to that versus when somebody they don't. They have one side, and they've just decided what the other side is, and that's what they're fighting.
Well, the
I
problem is
think we're
now
getting
this.
more and more of that because of social
The
media.
real problem now is the two-party system. It didn't seem to be as much of a party or problem before, but now it really is, because now you have these
Yeah,
uniformity of the party. Essentially, it's like um, so. Like before, you would get. I mean, you still see pockets of it, but not as much. You'd get you'd have Democrats, Republicans, and then you'd have the radical, like the Bernie Sanders, if you will, of like the Democratic Party, and you'd have like
the AOCs,
and in the Republican Party, you'd have like the Mike Pence's, like you'd have both radical ends of the party, but nobody kind of took them too serious. They were kind of like
mhm,
the outliers. But now it's like the radicalist of the party seems to be the one that controls almost the party's uh, objectives. So you have these two parties. So if I'm more of a libertarian, which I am obviously, um,
yeah,
and and I want more freedom and such. Back before, back in say the '80s, I probably would have been more of a Democrat. I would have voted Democrat because they were preaching more of the freedoms that I like. I like, people just doing what they need to do. But now because they've moved so far over to the left, it's like the Republicans are seeming more like the free pushers. The pushers of freedom ever since also COVID, right?
It
COVID,
flips, right? Like
right,
at a certain point in time, they were the evangelical
right,
Christians calling rock music
exactly, right.
satanic. I mean,
But if you,
there's an argument to be made that
Mhm.
rock music is satanic. If you
Yeah,
look at some of the lyrics, some of the things, but
mm,
you know,
yeah. But so
Dungeons and Dragons is
the
evil, and
two party system is what
Mhm.
crushes it. I feel like you need you need choice, because if you don't want to vote this side, what do? You go, I guess I got to
Yeah,
vote that side, and you saw
yeah.
that's what happened with
The
Biden.
issue is though is that
People just didn't want to fucking
that,
vote Trump.
but that would get more fuckery.
What's that?
Well, if you had, I don't know,
Too
8
many parties?
parties. Yeah, so you only
Uh,
needed 15% of the vote
yeah,
to win the election.
yeah. Well, yeah,
So, like, there's merit
yeah.
to having
It's
it
true.
like that, but there are definitely better ways to
But
do.
it's like, but what do you do if you're? It's so polarized in that way. Like, if I don't like this party, now what do I do?
Mhm.
Like, but if I'm a Democrat, and I like a lot of things that Democrats stand for, then I'm still going to want to stay with them and go, oh, you know what? Yeah, I don't like this other bullshit, but hopefully that's just kind of radical shit that doesn't really happen, or
Yeah,
vice versa. Well, I'm more of a Republican, but I don't really like Trump, and I don't like his freaking the way he talks and the way he
yeah.
carries himself. But I feel like I got to vote over there.
I think there's merit to be said that kind of that like ebb and flow is beneficial to society because it's like we are like everything is getting better or what like you can argue a lot of things kind of uh, started going in the opposite direction with the COVID stuff, but up you know up to 2019, this is Steven Pinker's book. Outlines every statistic, everything that you might
That they
care
measure.
about.
Yeah,
Crime,
yeah. It's all going
like
in
violent
the
crime,
right way. Yeah.
like yeah, poverty, access to clean water, access to electricity, all of this stuff. All of
Right.
this stuff is moving in the direction you would want it to
Right.
move. And so you can argue, well, if we did this, it'd move faster. Okay, that's an argument. But that's why the ebb and flow of the thing works,
Yeah.
because then you kind of maybe
Mhm.
push this way. I think that um, thing, uh, when you have people who are advocating for just tearing the whole system down and rebuilding it from scratch. It's kind of like we're in a car and we're on a road trip somewhere. And, the car is old, it's a little rickety, and the steering wheel's not really aligned properly, and maybe one of the tires doesn't have enough air. One person in the car has some crayons and a sheet of paper in the back, and they've drawn up some like fantastical fantasy car that like doesn't take gas and like it could fly and it does all this stuff and they're advocating that we stop, we pull over, we dismantle the entire car and build this car because it's going to get us where we're going faster.
Mhm.
And then everyone else, all the sane people in the car are like, well, hold on a second, like we're in it, like
We're in the fucking car that's
we're in the
working right
car,
now.
it's moving, it's
Right.
going, we're
Yeah.
getting where like if we do that, like I'm not retarded. I understand that if we do that, we're gonna wind up with just a bunch of pieces of a car and we're probably not gonna be able to even rebuild this one, let
Right.
alone
Right.
build a better one
Yeah.
with those pieces.
Yeah.
And,
Pretty
and
decent
there's
analogy. I like that
yeah.
analogy. It's
So
funny.
then like the rational person says, well, you know what? Yeah, the tire's a little flat or something. So let's find a mechanic to fix that for us
Yeah.
or realign the steering wheel or stop that leak or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, you know what? Let's stop, dismantle the whole thing and rebuild it.
Yeah.
And
Like,
it's more important, it's also really important to emphasize that nobody in that car knows how to build a car in the first place.
yeah. Yeah.
They don't know enough about what's going on under the
No,
hood to do
you know
that.
what? I've been all for, and I've said this so many times, I'm all for putting money into uh, research and development and all this kind of stuff. I
Oh
think
yeah.
instead of this bullshit push to like, we're gonna be green energy at this time period, and we're gonna do, how about we say, look, listen, by this time period, we're gonna figure out how to get proper green energy. We're not going to just move that way right off the bat and like stop fracking, stop all this shit. But we're going to say, hey, we're going to have an endpoint. We're going to say by this time period, we're going to phase out this and we're going to phase out that. And instead of saying, oh no, we're going to we're going to defund this thing. We're going to stop this pipeline here. And then it's all this cutting your nose off, spite your face. And I like that analogy because it's like it's the you know it's a good it's a good aspiration to have. Everybody
Yeah.
can get on board with the idea. Yeah, we'd like to see
Well,
green energy.
we
We
want
want
the
all these
flying
things.
car that's going to get us to our
Sure, of
destination
course we do.
instantly.
But we don't have it right now.
Yeah,
So
and
why don't
we
we
don't
just
know
settle
how
for
to
what we
build it.
have
Yeah.
right now and try and throw our resources at getting something better?
Yeah.
Researching and developing that. So no, it's definitely a we go. It's not about that though. It's the same sort of thing that like everybody of influence does. Like, and I've said this, I've shit on Elon a number of times for this, which this will kind of seg us into the next thing, I think. But I've shit on Elon a few times about this, like where he'll tweet out something or he'll say something, he'll post something on Reddit or whatever, and it'll get an effect, and that effect, that effect benefited him hugely. If he says when he tanked Bitcoin, saying that Tesla wasn't going to take Bitcoin anymore, and it tanked Bitcoin for a short period of time, most likely he bought it low, or he did something. He made money somehow on that. I know he made money on GameStop. Um, so it's these people that have this ability to do that are using it nefariously to actually to enrich themselves. For example, with green energy and shit. Like you take something that everybody is strong on, and we all say, yeah, we want that, and you go, hey, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna end this other thing, and what ends up happening? Stock prices on those companies go up like crazy. You got
Hmm.
money being poured in from the government in grants
The
and
Pelosi's are worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
right.
All of a sudden,
And nobody investigates this shit. Nobody says, "Hey,
it's legal.
how is this happening?" And why is it happening? And why are you tanking my 401k with your bullshit rhetoric?
What gets me is it's legal,
Yeah.
right? It's legal, and they still deny it. Like
Mhm.
Nancy Pelosi was asked if she's ever like made money with information that she's had or whatever. She's like, "Oh, absolutely not." But it's like we
Nobody answers anything anymore.
obviously you have your net worth said so. You're not making that kind of money through your salary, and it's not illegal for you to do that. So for you to just be honest, like why not?
If
Why do you
you
have to lie?
if you're like if you're in need, if you're like on the bubble or on the cusp of killing yourself, just watch congressional hearings.
Yeah.
Because you watch a couple congressional hearings and you'll just go ahead and do it.
You'll just be done. You'll be
You'll
like,
just
this
slit
is
your
it.
wrists while you're watching them because you'll realize that nobody answers anything.
Yep.
They're asked questions directly, sometimes 3 and 4 and 5 fucking times, and people will just not answer. And nobody holds anybody accountable anymore.
Hmm.
It should be if you're in a congressional hearing like that and you're being asked a question, like say Fauci being asked questions about gain of function, it should be yes or no. If you can't answer yes or no, you're in contempt. You go to jail. You're going to answer the fucking question. We're going to ask you a very, very poignant and direct question. And it's not, oh, well, no, you don't understand what they did. No, you're going to answer the fucking question exactly as it is.
The problem is though you run into issue, right? Because some stuff is classified, and you can't answer the question, and then
But in Congress, like if you're in a congressional hearing, there should be nothing that's classified because that should be the highest, or
I
even
don't think
Supreme
that's
Court.
true at
I
all.
think it should be
I think
because
there's
that's the
plenty of things that should be very, very, very that like for good reason are and should be
like
like
what? Give me an
very
instance.
hidden. Well, I don't know. What if the United States really does have alien technology that they're trying to reverse engineer? I think that's on a need to know basis, and Congress doesn't need to
Yeah, but
know.
okay, but hold on. If they're
Well, I
asking,
would
there
like
has
it
to
to
be a
be,
reason
but
why they're asking it. Like it'd have to be like public safety or something like that as to
yeah.
why they're asking it. And if it was of a public safety concern or something like that, then I think they have to answer. But asking questions that are
No, because
just
any weapons development is of public safety concerns, and also something you don't want. You want as few people as possible to know about, because you
no,
don't
but it
want it
only
getting in
becomes
the
a
hands of
public
the.
safety concern necessarily if like someone's using something. If something's
Well, as
been
soon as you
used,
have a working concept, it's that it's a public safety concern. Like as soon as it
yeah,
exists, it's a public safety.
yeah,
Even if you just built the prototype, but it's like, well, we don't like you don't want you build a like a crazy weapon. Uh, you don't want Russia to find out about it or China to find out
So
about it.
then what stops us from
So,
doing anything the fuck we want? Like, for
well,
example, just
that's the
manipulating
problem.
viruses and shit.
That's the problem. Nothing
And
stops us because there's that line where it's like,
so
okay,
then
here's
there should be.
yeah, it's like here's where it's there are things that yeah, it's a good idea that almost nobody knows about this.
Well, but that's what
But
I'm
then
saying, though.
as you go up from that, it's a gray
Who makes that
area.
decision?
Well, there's somebody at some point.
That's what I'm saying.
There's a hierarchy of
So
power.
that's what I'm saying. So everything should have to be answered. There should be nothing that if it comes up to like Congress has a congressional meeting on something where they want answers on something, there should be nothing that's classified. They should know, because the people should know. Like I get what you're saying, but like you're it just opens up too many abilities for shit to happen, like what you see with fucking around with viruses and stuff. Gain of function research and stuff. But they'll say, "Oh, we're doing it so we can stay ahead or whatever." All you're doing is creating potential pathogens to kill us all.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
all weapons development.
It's a few fucking stupid people that are doing it. A few people that have such hubris in themselves that think they're so much better than everyone else, or smarter, or godly, or whatever the fuck they think about themselves, that they're going to do these kinds of things, and then we all have to sit back and go, "Oh well, oh shit, oh you fucked up, oops, oh you released it, oh damn, now grandma and everybody else fucking died from a virus that didn't have to exist," and then you just deny it. You go, "Oh no, we didn't do that."
Yeah, that's not what happened. No,
yeah, that didn't happen at all. Oh no, gain of function. What are you talking about? That's not what gain of function is. I would think that if something does something that it wasn't able to do before with the help of someone else, they gained function. That would seem simple to me, a simple explanation. But it's the zero accountability. But we have a whole generation.
There needs to be accountability for getting it wrong.
There needs to be accountability for everything.
Wrong. I mean, there is some in New York, I think, where now people are, by law, anybody that was fired for not getting a shot,
that's awesome.
They're getting back
thank
pay
God.
And their jobs back.
Yeah, thank God that's happening. Like good. that restores some of my faith in humanity.
That brings up the this interesting. Do you remember this?
Oh, the amnesty thing. Yeah, I was going to say when you were saying that. Let's declare amnesty.
Oh no, that's not it.
No, that's no, that's I don't think so. No, this is the No, that's Amnesty International. That's the that's organization.
Okay. There we go. Is. The Atlantic, that's right.
All right. Good job, Emily. He's a good writer.
There it is. This is crazy.
Yeah.
This is absolutely
basically all that's saying is we should not hold anybody accountable
on the future and fix the problems we still need to solve. Oh man,
we can do both.
Let's just read some of this.
But we can do both, right? We can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time.
Yeah,
people can be held accountable, and we can do all that too.
Yeah. In April 2020, with nothing else to do, my family took an enormous number of hikes. We all wore cloth masks, probably while outside too, right? Yeah. That I had made myself, so they didn't work. We had a family hand signal, which the person in the front would use if someone was approaching. Oh my god! Ugh. On the trail, and we needed to put on our masks.
Oh, so they weren't wearing them at least.
Okay,
like all the time. So.
Once, when another child got too close to my then 4-year-old son on a bridge, he yelled at her social distancing. These precautions were totally misguided. In April 2020, no one got the coronavirus from passing someone else hiking. Outdoor transmission was vanishingly rare. Our cloth masks made out of old bandanas wouldn't have done anything anyway. But the thing is, we didn't know. But yeah, here's the thing: you didn't know, and you were absolute fucking Nazis about it.
And
you were arresting people for being outside in some areas.
And I agree with everything she just said there. Yeah, I agree with all that. Yeah. On its face, yep, okay, you're right. We didn't know.
She's right.
What I disagree with is the mandates.
Yeah, so maybe we learn a lesson here about jumping to conclusions and just embracing blatant fascism and authoritarianism to try and control people because you are scared because you don't know what's going on. Yeah. Like
you can't take away people's personal autonomy. Yeah. And if they're
not to mention, a lot of this stuff was known a lot earlier than these people want.
They didn't give up quick enough. It's like they didn't when the information started to come out. It's not. Like, had they done all this and then they went, as the information started to come out, they went, oh shit, okay, no, we're going to back off now. We're getting more information. But no, they just kept doubling down until eventually people just said, enough's fucking enough. Like, we're not doing this shit anymore.
Yeah, obviously, some people intended to mislead and made wildly irresponsible claims. Remember when the public health community had to spend a lot of time and resources urging Americans not to inject themselves with bleach? That's like a lie
It's a
because they didn't have to do any of
it's
that.
yeah, what it is, it's a massive exaggeration of a stupid comment. Like everybody can agree that Trump saying it the way he said it, whether he was kidding or not, was stupid. I mean,
No,
the
I don't
way
think it was at all. I think
I do.
he knew something that's a real thing, and he
I
didn't
know,
he didn't know it well enough
but he's
to
saying it off the
articulate it
cuff, so it's
properly.
stupid. So it's
Yeah.
stupid the way he said it. He's the
Dude,
president, so he should not say things like that because people are going to look to him and say, "Oh, he said that."
I mean,
You
he
know,
was saying but he wasn't saying that like he was
I
saying we
know,
should look
I
into that. It
know,
wasn't.
I know. But what I'm
Yeah.
saying though is like it's a misspeak. And the president shouldn't do that. He shouldn't be talking off the cuff. He should be thinking about what he's saying. It should be mostly calculated. I mean, that's the thing I liked about Obama, where I disagree with a lot of his policy stuff. I like that he seemed polished all the time. Everything he said, it was hard to take something he said and it would be, and make it ridiculous. You know, you could disagree with it or whatever, but anyways, sorry.
I
I'm
think
all
our
over you.
politicians should be having human conversations, not
Well,
not
I
not
agree,
being robots.
but not like just kind of vet what you say before you say it to some degree. You know, I agree. I'd rather them not be completely mechanical either. But you know, there's when he did say that when he was talking about injecting bleach in that. I know it wasn't the way like they say the way he said it was this way. I know it wasn't because I've seen it a number of times, but it can be easily misconstrued because it's said kind of off the cuff. He's talking like he's having a conversation with somebody who might know what he's saying, but everyone else listening doesn't, right? So they hear something different, and he's got to be cognizant of that. That's all. Anyways,
This is crazy.
yeah, yeah, it's
Declare pandemic amnesty. Like we acted in this insane way.
mhm.
We made you. We told you you're not allowed to go to work. We told you we lied to you and said that you were killing people if you didn't get an experimental medical treatment
Yeah,
that didn't do what we claimed it did. Didn't stop the spread. Or this is an interesting thing. I don't know if I said this to you or not. Probably. That with the vaccine rollout and everything. Uh, now that we know for a fact, we knew pretty early on in the vaccine thing. But now that we know for a fact that it doesn't stop the spread, or like it doesn't stop you from catching it or spreading it. Best case scenario, it reduces symptoms. There's probably a good chance that it made the problem a whole lot worse. Because now you get a whole bunch of people who ran out and got vaccinated under the guise that now everyone's protected. Now they catch COVID, but they don't have very serious symptoms because they got the vaccine. They might not realize that they're sick or the very mild thing. They might not, and now there's more likely to be out in public spreading it
hmm
because it's not going to hit them the way that it would have if they hadn't, and they know that they were sick and they maybe sit inside.
and it also does something else that they've admitted to as well. Is it changes the viral what do you call it?
Load.
No, the way the virus changes and it adapts, the viral adaptation, right? So now because the virus is adapting to a, a synthetic made thing now
Oh yeah, the
instead of our
artificial
normal,
spike
yeah,
protein instead of
right, instead of our normal immune responses. Like viruses always want to live with us. They don't want to kill us. It's
no.
stupid for a
It's not
virus.
beneficial for
Yeah,
them because they die too.
yeah, exactly, right?
Um,
So
that's
it
why when you
changed
have
it.
a virus that like that's why the whole herd immunity thing was a really good idea, and that's why Sweden did the best.
Yeah.
Uh, because once the virus gets acclimated to to being with people, it's not going to be a big deal.
hmm
It's going to be like
Another
a
flu, yeah,
cold or
another cold
flu
or
or
flu, yeah.
whatever. It's going to trend towards that because that's beneficial for the virus.
hmm
It doesn't, unless it's designed to kill in some way.
The only thing that is weird with this one, obviously, if it was genetically enhanced or whatever in
Well, it
a
was
lab.
definitely
Yeah, I'm just saying if
messed around with.
in
Yeah.
absence of solid evidence of it.
Oh, there is.
Well, I don't have it here. I'm saying in absence for me of solid evidence. I'll just speculate and say if it was. that spike protein is what just sort of changes everything, right? This ability now for it to be so fucking clingy, for it to stick in your system so well. They don't even know if it has if that virus has long term effects. That it like maybe it has some latency
Yeah,
where it will just sit in your system and then like
then hit you or
slowly
something.
affect something, almost like a cancer, where
Yeah,
you can't really
or
detect
like you're
it.
spreading it, but
Yeah,
it's
or
not
that
doing anything
too.
for a couple weeks. But there is what was it? It was like a sequence of the part of the virus DNA or something like that is patented by Pfizer,
Mm,
which is like a one in a gazillion odd chance of something that happened naturally. Like it would take 1 trillion years of natural evolution or something ridiculous for it to just pop up
yeah.
naturally from something like that. So it's like, why is that there?
Yeah, it's a smoking gun at this point. Like
That
it's all a smoking gun. The fact that like I just say that I say that to to not be an asshole and act like I know anything. I really don't know anything. I know what I hear, what I read, all that kind of thing, but I don't really know anything. But I do have common sense and I do have a brain. And when typically if there's a stink coming from someone's bum, they farted.
usually,
It's like usually. I mean, every once in a while, it might be the air,
yeah,
and it just happens to be like condensed
close.
around their bum.
But odds are,
Most times, it came out of the little hole in their ass.
yeah,
Um, so it's in this case, I think the little hole in the ass is the lab, and the virus came out of there.
yeah, the fact
You
that
know,
it came out of there, the fucking the patent that Pfizer had, that
everybody stood to make tons of money. Governments stood to get powers that they could only fucking wet dream about,
yeah,
and now they're having a hard time giving them up.
yeah, yeah. I think they made it like a year ago. They made the COVID powers permanent in the UK. I
Yeah.
think something like that.
You could kind of deem this as like the almost like the social experiment. See what what modern humans will do when
Yeah.
pressed. How much of their liberties they'll give up. How much it's like it's crazy to me.
That's why Tim Pool always brings up the rat hope experiment,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
it's like,
that's a good. I like that one.
just to recap, where
Yeah,
you put a rat in like a vial of water, and after a couple hours it drowns. Not even a couple, like
it's
15
like
minutes or
15 minutes or
something. Like
something.
it's
Yeah,
a short amount of time it drowns. But if you take it out right before it gives up and drowns, and then you let it dry off and rest, and then you put it back in, it'll go for days, because it has hope
yeah.
that the hand will come and pull it out because it happened
You
before.
fucking
And
sense.
that's almost what it feels like might be happening. Like they impose this insanity on us. People are pushed to the cusp of snapping and breaking, but
Mhm.
then it gets lifted away. So it's like, okay, there's that relief.
Yeah,
We got our freedom back. And then they're gonna swoop back in and do it again. This time they're not gonna relief give us that relief because they expect that they know that we will hold on, we'll hold out for hope. Like, okay, well, we did this before and
Mhm.
it ended, so it's gonna end this time, and we'll say that for
Yeah.
years.
Could go the other way though. Could go. People go, you know what? We did this once
Yeah,
before,
if
and
people like Ron DeSantis
yeah,
keep power and and the Republicans do well in the United States, fine.
it's a weird thing because I know enough smart people that went along with it, myself included, right? That went along with the shit. Um, but then, I mean, because it made sense at first. You're like, okay, well, it wasn't a big ask at first,
Yeah.
right? You're like, okay, but and it was like it's like
Especially if it was only going to be like what 2 weeks is
yeah, and
slow to
they
spread.
just kept extending it, and you kind of kept going along with it, going,
Then
okay,
all of a
let's get
sudden we were in
into
our third lockdown,
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like 2
That's when it
months
got
long.
ridiculous. That's when finally
Yeah.
people started to say, all
Well,
right,
especially
enough's
at
enough.
that point, we knew that the lockdowns weren't doing anything.
But I mean, if you get another virus that spreads faster or is hits harder or any, who knows? Who knows what people will do?
People will
Anyway,
go right for it, even though we know it was wrong. We know the lockdowns didn't do anything. The masks didn't help.
yeah,
Like, even though we know that it didn't work, it didn't have the intended effect. Give everybody the benefit of the doubt that it was intended to help. We know that it didn't.
I agree. Yeah.
And that's probably a good spot, Dan. We're just approaching an hour.
Well, let's talk about Elon quickly before
Oh,
we
we can
we
do
didn't
that,
we never
I
talked
guess.
about Elon. I was gonna say, like, we got into a tangent about some shit. Um, yeah, Mr. Elon Musk and his mess over at Twitter. He got himself into a little bit of bird shit over there.
yeah.
But again, I don't
Musk reportedly said Twitter could file for bankruptcy next year. Biden is saying that he should be investigated for his ties to foreign countries. So, like, now politicians are going after him. The advertisements are pulling their thing. They got rid of that $8 a month subscription verification thing already.
I don't know why they did that. I mean, why not let it be voluntary? Just let people, if they want that little blue check, they paid $8.
That's what it was.
That's what I'm saying. Like, leave it. I don't know
Yeah.
why they get rid of it.
I think it's because the way they implemented the system within the company, like they weren't doing what they were supposed. Like when you paid for it, you weren't getting your
Oh,
check
you weren't
mark,
getting.
or they weren't verifying the people. They were just giving them the check mark, so you had people impersonating people
Oh.
because there wasn't like an actual. So like they kind of fucked up that
Yeah.
how to do that.
Admittedly, I know nothing about Twitter because
Yeah.
I've never been on it. I don't.
Alex Jones is still banned. Donald Trump is still banned. Project Veritas is still banned.
Yeah, I think he I think he blustered a little. I think he thought he was going to get in there and do a bunch of shit, and or maybe maybe he called their bluff, or they called his bluff. I mean, maybe at first he was like, "I'm going to do this," and he was like, "There's no way they're going to go for it," and then they called his bluff, and then he had to, you know, back himself up,
Right.
and now he's in over his head a little bit. Like he's put all this money into it. And he's got all these investors, powerful people.
Yeah.
And you got to realize that he's not
And powerful people that want him destroyed and
right.
this
And
whole thing
he,
destroyed.
as much as like people like look at him as like a freedom fighter or some shit, he's still somewhat in bed with those with the deep state. Essentially, he's a billionaire.
SpaceX
And
runs on. It's not that he's a billionaire.
no, I'm just saying, but those people are all elite and they know each other.
SpaceX runs on government contracts.
Right.
Tesla's been largely subsidized. You you know you don't just get to do business in China.
Yeah. Well, I think his heart's in the right place
know.
as far as I think he went in with good intentions. He wanted to try and open the platform up and make it more of a forum.
This is what
I think he just.
I think we were talking about this the other day. I was saying, I think what might have happened is, he went to buy the platform, got to see behind the curtain,
Yeah, and saw how fucking shit it
saw
was.
how
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
only after all this started to happen did we see that they are actually colluding with the government
Mm.
to figure out what to take down. The government is going to Twitter and saying, "Hey, take this stuff down," and they're doing it. I think he saw that. He realized, "Holy shit, this like tether is not going to be that easy to break."
Right.
And so he wanted out because he's like, "I don't think I can do this." And then they force him. He's like, "Okay, fuck it. That like, we're gonna see what we can do." And now he's there seeing what he could do, and this is what it looks like, and it doesn't look great.
Fuck, maybe somebody threatened him. Maybe he got a real credible threat against his life. Basically, say, "Don't fuck around.
I don't know about his life necessarily, but
or even all his
his
contracts,
reputation and everything. Like the government, when Joe Biden says that he should be investigated for his ties to foreign countries, I think that's a big deal.
That's kind
That
of
threatens
hypocritical.
SpaceX, man.
Like kind of hypocritical, isn't it? Though he should be investigated for his ties to foreign
We're
countries.
talking about Joe Biden.
Yeah, Biden's not tied to foreign countries at all.
No, not at all.
I don't know.
Through a particular laptop. SpaceX gets a lot of government contracts, and they launch a lot of like classified stuff, like technology that is classified. So if the government were to say like, "Yeah, we shouldn't be doing business with space," I don't think that's going to happen because it's way, way, way cheaper to go with SpaceX right now as a
Right.
launch provider than anybody else. There's nobody that even compares, especially if you want to put something a little bit bigger in orbit.
Mhm.
You get smaller things, but yeah.
I don't know what he does now. I mean, how does he like
Time
for
will
him to
tell.
say that they might file for bankruptcy
Buckle up.
next year?
It's probably just
really-
afraid to losing money. So like, if you can get advertisers back or figure out a way to monetize it.
Wasn't it one of his first ideas that he was gonna make it? So he did. He obviously he took it and made it not public anymore.
Yeah, it's private now.
It's private now, and then they were going to rebuild the company. So like, what happened in that sort of sphere when he took it from public to private? Like, what changed all of a sudden? What like? It's weird to me. It's like it,
Are you?
I just don't understand what information came to him all of a sudden that it's like, oh, well, now we're done. Like we're gonna fucking go bankrupt now. Like,
Well, I think it's more like we might go bankrupt. I
well,
think Twitter
why not
was.
keep it public? Because he could have gotten all kinds of money from people based on, you know,
Because that
speculation
was
and
the
shit.
original deal. You can't just like flip that around. You could maybe go public again, like do a listing
Yeah, yeah.
now that he has it.
Well,
But
well, he could. Of course, he
um,
could flip around. What do you mean? He did. He already did. He's flipped from what he said he was originally going to do. He's flip flopped the whole time. So he could have
no,
flip
he
flopped.
hasn't. He says I want to buy Twitter for $44 billion to
Yeah.
take it private, and then he said no, I don't want to do that. But they're like, no, we're going to force you to
No,
do
what I'm
that. And
saying
so
though
then
is
he did it.
no,
And
but he
that's why it's
didn't.
private.
No, but I don't think he necessarily had to take it private. Once he
Well,
bought,
he had to buy all the shares.
yeah, but he didn't have to take it private.
I think that's what happens when you buy all the shares.
Why?
I just think that's how
No,
it
why?
works.
Why? You could buy. You
You
could
can have
buy
a public
controlling.
company with
Sure, you could buy controlling.
30 owners.
Why not?
I don't think that's I don't think that's
Like you
how
could just
that
run
works.
around and buy up the shares. I mean, but
His
they're
plan
still open
from
to
the
be.
beginning was always to kind of go in and
No, I know. What I'm saying though is everything else changed though, and I wonder why that part of the plan didn't change. Like why not then just keep it public and say, hey, look, listen, no, we're going to do this and that, and we're going to generate because just what he says alone, just his tweets alone could have driven stock prices up and down, or he could have manipulated any way he wanted. He could have been short selling his like there could have been all kinds of shit that could have been happening with that stock where you could now kind of fuck around with with market manipulation as far as I know it is borderline insider trading, but he does it all the time anyway. Like those Reddit guys do it all the time too. He could just say something on Reddit that makes them do a certain thing, and bang. And now the stock is doing some weird shit. But what I just don't get is it seems too haphazard to not be sort of planned. Like he doesn't seem like a stupid guy that was just
definitely got a plan.
that he just got caught with his pants down, for $44 billion.
No, I think I think he wasn't anticipating the tether to the government and the tax from advertisers.
So what do you think? Where do you think he goes from here?
Well, I don't know.
Well, I'm saying,
I
what do
don't know
you
how to
think?
run Twitter.
Well, I'm saying, what do you
Like
think?
I don't know. I think I don't know. Like I don't know how you do it. You come up with a way to monetize it probably. Like I don't know, maybe revamp the $8 a month thing, do
Well,
something.
we talked about this before
I think
about like
they were
making.
gonna add like video service to Twitter.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this before, where they make it like sort of like YouTube, where the top content producers on there are getting paid.
Yeah,
You incent it that way
incentivize. Yeah,
on the retweets and all that kind of stuff. And you take information that's like positive information as opposed to like shitty tweets and then, like, for example, like
or if like
Trump
private communities that you have
or like
to
when
pay into.
if Trump tweeted something, it was shitty. Like he said something shitty about somebody. Yeah, it would get retweeted like fucking nuts because he's Trump and he's got whatever X amount of followers. That shit I don't think should get monetized very well anyway. Or maybe it does because it's still but it's at a much lower, monetization value or whatever, right?
Yeah,
But or monetary value, I mean. But I don't know. I think there's a way to do it. It's
just
just
way to do it.
it's just weird for me to think that he stumbled. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't.
We're looking at it way too early.
Yeah.
Like it's been a couple weeks.
No, I know.
The guy barely has the reins. Like we're talking about a $44 billion company, right?
Right.
Like it's not like
It's other people's money involved and stuff, and I don't think
yeah.
I don't think everybody just went, "Oops." Oh, now we're going to declare bankruptcy and we're all going to lose a bunch of money. I feel
it's next year is what he's saying, so it's probably just like the rate that they're losing money.
But this could also be a ploy too.
It could be a red herring of some sort.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I don't know, but
it goes somewhere.
We'll see. We'll see where. We'll see what he does.
The show shall go on.
The show shall go on.
Yeah.
The Twitter show.
The Twitter show shall continue.
All right. Well, on that, we'll call it, I guess.
Call it.
We'll be talking more about Elon, obviously.
As it unfolds.
Yeah, we'll keep the Elon train going. But as always, like, comment, share, subscribe. Yeah.
All that good stuff.
All the good stuff, all the regular stuff that we're supposed
All
to
the good
say.
stuff. Come back every week, every Friday. Try to keep it around 7:30. We got a
You know,
better.
we'll start giving money. We'll not say how much.
Yeah, we'll start giving out
We'll
money.
start giving out some money.
Yeah,
For actually,
just
you
for
know what?
showing up.
Listen, for different what do you call it, levels or different milestones of subscribers, we'll give money. We're not
Yeah.
going to say which ones.
Art
So you
does
never know.
not count as a candidate.
He's who you're talking about.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Oh, sorry, Artie,
That was the beginning.
we didn't see you. I didn't see
You
you.
guys do that. It's like very huge. And
I'm going to read what he said. Here's my opinion on deep state. I think that having a Democrat and Republican representation does not matter. Ultimately, the political parties are used as a divisive tool for the distraction. Yeah, I agree with that. Of the general population, ultimately the parties are loyal to the deep state initiatives with minor variations in certain topics. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Yeah. So they're all in the same swamp. Yep.
yeah,
For sure there.
Yeah, he's just agreeing with us when we were
it's
talking about
a-
that, basically.
Yeah, it's you have two parties, but it's basically one system. It's like, but like I said, it's almost like it's your turn, it's our turn, and I think Trump threw a big old orange monkey wrench into the
Oh,
plan.
for sure.
Yeah, and they went, whoa, okay,
For sure.
yeah, we got to get rid of this guy,
Yeah.
and we got to crush anybody who comes along like him.
Yeah, we can't have this.
Yeah.
All right.
So, all right,
Yeah.
well,
We're going to end it here.
okay.